Hey guys, I mentioned in some of my previous videos that I'm in the process of playing through New Game Plus with this character, and I'm doing so for the most part with the Dried Fingers active and with the Spear of the Church Covenant enabled. So I'm either getting pulled away for invasions for Spear of the Church, or I'm being invaded. Most of the time I have the Dried Fingers active. The only exceptions are areas with Covenant-based invasions, so outside Pontiff, and then here as well, just because the probability of invasion is already quite high, and I've had some bad luck with Dried Fingers here where I've had to deal with 3 invaders at a time, and that can be pretty challenging. I've actually got some cool videos on my channel you can check out if you're interested. No commentary, but me duking it out with a number of invaders simultaneously. It can be a lot of fun, but it really wasn't the kind of thing I was interested in for this kind of playthrough, where I am still hoping to actually make PvE progress. So here you can see that I spawn Yellowfinger and then get invaded by a watchdog, and they start duking it out. So I just run away and hide and hopefully let them fight it out. I'm a little worried about Yellowfinger coming to track me down, and you can see here in a second it looks like she's running right at me, but fortunately the watchdog kind of draws her attention, and the two of them continue to fight it out. Good old Yellowfinger likes to heal right in your face, and this watchdog isn't having any of it. So I come on, give him just a little friendly wave. I get a fist pump in return. He certainly did me a favor there. That could have been ugly if the two of them had started ganking me. So we have ourselves a little duel. He's doing a good job by using the R2s, but the R2, its primary value is as a mix-up. So if you're doing too many of them, it loses its value as a mix-up in my view. And I'm surprised I was able to interrupt that swing. We must have had a very good connection. And here my timing for the roll backstab is almost frame perfect. I'm able to get right back there and backstab him. I felt pretty good about that. So this is actually the second Yellowfinger invasion. And normally I might not include NPC invasions in a video like this, but frankly, it's honestly hard to get invaded, even with the Dried Fingers active in a lot of these areas. And I know there's still activity. If I go and invade people, I get invasions all the time. I think it just unfortunately speaks to the declining popularity of the game, which is really sad to me. I love this game so much. And unfortunately, a lot of the fun in this game is dependent on other players wanting to play it. I included this bit with Horace just because I thought it was kind of funny. I was kind of screwing around. I had done quite a bit of damage to him. And that spin attack, that R2 attack, I've seen people parry it before. So I kind of wanted to have a go and see if I'd be able to parry it successfully. So I'm just kind of trying to keep him at bay, getting him to try and do that attack again so I can try to parry it. Horace does love his charged attacks. So there I space out the first rotation pretty well, and I'm able to parry the second one. It's kind of risky though, because if you don't space it correctly and you get in there too close, you're going to eat both of those hits, and that's going to be painful. So here I cut out quite a bit at the beginning of this video. I saw that I had been invaded, and I had waited off to the side for a good 2 or 3 minutes. I didn't see the invader, so I went looking for him. And at this point I assume he's seen me, but I don't actually think he has. And I kind of surprise him there. Try to give him a little hello. He's not having any of that. He's just coming right in after me. Never try to switch weapons or go from one or two handing a weapon when somebody's right in your face. Predictable parry attempt there. When you switch weapons, or you switch from like one-handed to two-handed mode, there's a period of roughly about half a second where your character is locked in and you can't roll. So you have to be very careful when you do that within striking range of an opponent. You always want to be a little bit out of range when you switch weapons or switch from two to one handing or vice versa. So here I get invaded in Irithyll. This guy seems friendly enough, so give him a little wave. It's interesting that he's trying to use that gnawing spell against me. I've never seen anyone have any success with that in PvP. That's awesome against certain bosses. They're susceptible to bleed, but not so much in PvP. So I see he has almost no health. I mean, I took off half his health with a single R1. I thought the parry was coming there. Once I saw how little vigor he had, I thought I felt pretty comfortably in the driver's seat. I'm not sure what that corresponds to. I mean, look at that. A running attack took off more than half his health. His vigor's got to be at like 20. I proc his tears. Missed the roll catch, unfortunately. I really thought I should have that. It looked like there was an animation skip there. Sometimes not running after an enemy, I think, has to be more terrifying to them than running after him. It speaks of a lot of confidence. Like, I'm not worried about what he's doing. He can run off, he can heal. Although I'm not going to make him too comfortable, so I go ahead and pop a seed. On a lot of these characters, I worked really, really hard to come up with a large stash of seeds, and while I was gone, they made a change in the patch to reduce the effectiveness of the seeds, but increase the frequency with which they're dropped. So there was kind of like a seed inflation monetary effect, and so the value of my seeds is plummeted, which is kind of frustrating given how much time I'd spent in collecting all of those. So there's no way I'm going to run out there by those enemies with him out there. And I guess he gets bored and decides to come back. Surprised he didn't put tears back up. He must not have had enough FP. And there I use my weapon block. That's actually something I learned from watching one of Saint Riot's videos, and I've seen Nif do it too. And that's actually the first time I've done it in PvP, where I weapon block sometimes if somebody's using a fast weapon like a katana and they might hit me with a dashing R1 and I don't have time to roll and identify the attack. But that's the first time I've actually deliberately blocked an incoming attack so that I wouldn't have to give up my space and I could retaliate, and I really like the result of that. Now, obviously you have to manage your stamina very carefully in those situations because a lot of weapons do not have high stability, and you want to check the actual weapon stability. Just like shields have stability, so do weapons when you block with them. And I've noticed things like spears traditionally have very low stability, sometimes between 20 and 25, which really isn't very much. And so you have to be careful what you're actually blocking and making sure that you have a full stamina bar. You know, just as an example, those large ultra great swords, their rolling attacks will completely guard crush you if you're blocking with something like a spear. And I'm not sure what this guy is doing. Why you would have two big slow weapons. Usually you want one big slow weapon and then one fast weapon to try and throw people off. And here's another guy with no health whatsoever. I'm just not sure I understand why people have so little health. And this is at soul level 91, I believe. So it's not like these guys are low level, and they're not mages where they would need to be pumping a lot of their stats into and faith and be a glass cannon build. I mean, these are straight up melee builds. But I guess if you want to wield those big-ass heavy weapons, maybe you have to dump all your stats and strength. But even then, at this level, they should have plenty of stats to pump up their vigor. Personally, the way I run these builds now is completely different than it was maybe 4 months ago. Nif, a YouTuber, wrote an awesome Reddit article. I think he called it the Jolly Assassination Build. And he has an accompanying YouTube video. And the thrust of his argument, if I can kind of paraphrase on his behalf, is that vigor is the most important stat, full stop. Everything else is subservient to vigor. And when I took his advice and started putting all my build stats into vigor to start with, I was really pleased with the results. So I have level 36 and level 49 characters that have 40 vigor, and it is a game changer. You really want to make sure you've got high amounts of vigor. It's the most important stat on any character you're invading with. I forgot these guys were here originally, and they kind of surprised me when I came back out. This guy's rocking the red hilted halberd. That's not a weapon I see very much these days. It's a weapon that used to give me fits a lot when I dueled a lot. And I catch the perseverance there and avoid pressing R1 a second time. And you can see here he switches weapons, and I suspect that's because he saw that I wasn't going to swing twice into his perseverance. This happened to swing at the same time. It did not work out well for him. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed just those couple little invasion videos. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you soon.